afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon, and you know what it is. It's Sunday afternoon Bible story time with Karen and Chesley. Chesley is me, and she's the voice of me. That's right, Chesley. We're so glad to be here for this Sunday afternoon Bible story, and we're going to talk about Joseph. Yes, we are. Joseph is a wonderful Bible character. Oh, he went through a bunch of junk. Yes, he went through some severe trials, and it was his brothers. Yes, Chesley, was an awful thing that he went through, but God gave him a great victory. Now, you know what? Sometimes, you get that really advanced stuff, and it's against it, the good stuff is it's just dinner. Yes, Chesley, we see that. If something really bad comes up and God just does something just wonderful, and it's just like a giant light. It is. It's just like a giant light on things that were just so dark, and that darkness is gone. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The title of our lesson today is, our title story is called No Grudges, Just Blessing. No grudges, just blessing. And you would say in the natural that, oh, Joseph had a whole lot to be mad about. He could have held a grudge. Yeah, because they was his brothers, and I think they was wicked. His brothers were very wicked. And I don't understand what. Well, Chesley, they were jealous of him. And, the Lord had a plan for Joseph's life, and Joseph knew it. And he had told something of God's plan for him. And they should have been saying, oh, good deal, we're going to help you. But, oh, Chesley, they didn't feel that way. And they went out every way they could to hurt him and to bring great harm to him. And what did his parents do? They should have done something. Well, the parents tried to do, yes, it wasn't just all on Joseph, it wasn't all on his brothers, but I think sometimes he just has little fights, don't matter. Well, there may be some little fights, little arguments that don't matter, but this was different. They hated Joseph. No, hatred isn't wrong, it's a sin. Yes, it is wrong. And Chesley, when you hate somebody and you have such ill will toward them, and then you can do some harm. Yes, Chesley, and you can do things you ordinarily wouldn't do. And something else makes a difference. What else makes a difference? Is when you have someone with you. That's right, when you have somebody with you, it's like called mob mentality, mob. And then, one says something, the other one says, yeah, let's do it, and they just jump in. And sometimes, Chesley, a mob, a whole group, they'll do things they ordinarily wouldn't do, but all together, it just makes it. So tell me about this guy, Joseph. Well, Joseph was he was a wonderful guy. A wonderful young man, but his father, he was the father's favorite. And right there, that is not a good thing. Even if he hadn't been his favorite, he shouldn't have let it be known. But he did. He made him a special coat, had as many colors, and it showed how special he was to the dad. And because the others, they didn't have one, and so they hated him. Well, now Joseph couldn't help it that he was the favorite, and they should have known it. But Chesley, they didn't feel like that. They just hated him so much that they actually determined they were going to kill him. No, that's just wicked. They can't do it. They're going to call the police. Well, Chesley, they didn't even know, the police didn't know anything was going on. They just decided this all among themselves. But Chesley, you know what they did one day when the dad told Joseph, said, you need to go check on your brothers. And he's going to check on, and then what's going to happen? Well, when they saw him, and they said, Dad, let's take care of this right now. And so when he got there, Chesley, it was a wicked thing they did. They took him and they put him in a pit, but they took his beautiful coat off, and they had killed an animal, and they dipped that coat in the blood. Now why are they going to do that? Well, they put Joseph in the pit. Oh, he's going to die in that pit. Well, he didn't know, but one of his brothers thought, I'm going to rescue him. But he didn't. Well, what happened, though, he went back to get him. He couldn't find him. But just let's get back to about the coat, what they did. But when the father saw that, he thought his son had been killed. But what they had actually done, they had come and they had gotten Joseph out. Because he didn't die in that pit. No, he didn't die in the pit. When they said, well, listen, why would we kill him? Let's put him in this pit. But look, here comes these travelers here, and we can sell him as a slave. No, and that's just so wicked. And now his dad is going to be sad and start going, and it's a crime. Call the police. Chesley, they couldn't do that. They didn't do that. They weren't going to do that. What happened then? They sold him. And then when they went back to the father and they said, oh, we just don't know what's happened to Joseph. And that is so wrong. And that poor old man, that poor man, he just missing his son, and he's going to be crying. He's so sad. Yes, he is sad, Chesley, and he is crying. He's weeping, said, my son, oh, my son. And I think it's a crime. It is a crime, Chesley. It was a serious crime. But they told him, they said, we don't, it's just, it happened. And so when the dad said, yes, a wild animal, that's what has happened. That's what he believed had happened. Oh, his heart was so broken. That's not what had happened. What had done Joseph. But God had a plan for him. And yes, he was sold. It was an awful thing. But God had given him some dreams. These were not just ordinary dreams. These came from God. And he knew God had a plan. And I believe those dreams are what kept him through all this time. And he's awaiting his dad, and he's missing him. Oh, he's so sick. Yes, he was sad. But he did good things. And he was such a good worker there, where those fellas sold him then to a person of great wealth and all. Next thing they realized, this man thought, he's a great guy. What in the world? He's a tremendous worker. And so what he did, he gave him a promotion. He gave him a promotion, all right. He didn't even really know what all he had. He just put Joseph in charge of it. Because he was God's man. He was God's man. He did the right thing. And he knew God had given him some dreams of some wonderful things that were going to happen. Did I think he was looking pretty rough? It was looking rough. It was looking really rough, like it would never happen. But Joseph remained true. Well, Chesley, before it was over with, the man he worked for was named Potiphar. His wife told lies on him, and she accused him of things he had never done, and he wound up being put in jail. Oh, it's going from bad to worse. It looks like it's going from bad to worse. But you know what, Chesley? Actually, each thing that looked so bad was actually getting him closer to what the blessing that the Lord had, and the promises, the dreams that he had was a promise of what God was going to do. And he just looked like it wasn't going to happen. And now he's a jailbird. Now you call him a jailbird. Well, here he's in jail for doing no wrong. He's done nothing but good. In fact, you see, his master's wife wanted him for a boyfriend. And, no, he wouldn't do it because she was married. She was a married woman, and he would have nothing to do with her. But she lied and said that Joseph that Joseph had wronged her. Well, now here he is in prison. But they recognize in prison that he is not guilty. Get him out. Let him go. Well, Chesley, they couldn't. They didn't have any authority to let him go. They recognized, this is a good man. And they let him. Well, he was just in charge of the prison. God's just blessing him. Yes, God's blessing. But he's still a prisoner. He is a prisoner, I know. But Chesley, God is moving. Remember, when God makes a promise, that's it. It's settled. God will do it. Even when they're saying that he can't. Well, they may say he can't. But God is in charge, and he loves this man, Joseph. He has a plan for him, and it's going to happen. Well, Chesley, the time came, that he did, that God blessed him and raised him up, and we won't go through the whole story, but it wound up that he was actually in leadership. He was just almost next to he was like a second in command. It was marvelous what God did for him and how he helped the people in a time of famine. Okay, Chesley, he needs to see his brothers, and the time comes by. They don't even recognize him. He's the leader of the country, but he finally makes himself known to them, and they were terrified. And, they thought he's going to kill us, and they thought they were going to get killed. But he let them know he loved them. He cared for them. But they said, well, that was good. But I think he was nervous, and he should have been. I think he's going to get it. No, he's not going to get them, Chesley. Remember, he knows God has set him here for such a time as this. The land was in famine, and God had given Joseph a plan, and he had been brought out of the prison because when they found out he had this plan, that was a miracle of God. But Chesley, now, let's fast forward now to where now that the dad, they brought the dad. He's seen Joseph. They've taken him to visit and all. So they get together, and it's been a wonderful time. But time goes by, and remember, and Joseph's dad died. And his brothers began to think, they thought we were in trouble now. That's what they thought. They said, now that our dad has died, said, now Joseph is going to turn on us. The only reason he's been nice to us, and you know what they think he was like then? That's what they might have been thinking. He was evil like them, but he wasn't. He wasn't. And so they said, we're going to have to tell him something. They were scared. They thought, he's going to kill us. He's going to take it. That's what they thought. He is going to take us away. We just had it. And so they went up to him after they had buried their father, and they said, now, I said, he's got a grudge against us. No grudges, just blessing. That's the way Joseph was. No grudges. And his brothers came to him and said, you know what? We think, the father, he said he wants you to forgive us. And they were scared because they knew they had done wrong, and they thought that they was going to get it. They thought he was going to act like them. That's what? They probably thought he was going to be evil like they had been. But he wasn't, and they were so afraid, and they wanted him, that Dad wants you to forgive us. And when he realized what they were nervous over, he told them, he said, Joseph said to them, do not be afraid, for am I in God's place? As for you, you meant evil against me, but he said God meant it for good in order to bring about this present result, to preserve the people alive. He said, you know what, so therefore don't be afraid. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to provide for you and your little ones. And he comforted them, and he spoke kindly to them. No grudges. Chesley, he could have, as the leader there, he could have had them. He could have had them banished from the country. He could have taken their lives. But here, what he had, no grudges, because God had given him these dreams long ago, how that he was going to be in charge, and he just let God handle it. And Chesley, from bad to worse, all these things were happening that looked so bad. There he was taken and he was put into a pit, and they pulled him out and they sold him as a slave. And then he was worked for somebody. He's being promoted. And then his wife lies on him. Everything is looking so bad. He winds up being put in prison. That just looks like it's going nowhere good. You know what? It's like he's getting closer. He was actually getting closer, because they're in the prison. He interpreted a dream for some people. And one man, and he was actually went back to the palace. And then when they had this problem, real serious problem about a dream that the Pharaoh had, and one said, well, there's this guy in prison, and the Lord helps him with the interpreting of dreams. And then just like that, and just like one day, boom, just like that, he was promoted. And he calls God. And so, no grudges, just blessing. No grudges, just blessing. So if somebody does us wrong, we need to pray the Lord to help us not to have a grudge, but to know that the Lord is helping. I see Dr. Rose is listening. Yes, she is, and we're glad to have Dr. Rose listening. We love her and appreciate her. She's going to be chiropractor. That's right. They are mechanical doctors, and they're wonderful. We love them. They're holistic. And Chesley, are you going to take me in? Chesley, you're wooden. I don't believe she deals with wooden ones, but she sure did help me a lot. And she did. Georgie goes? Yes, Georgie Porgy goes too. And we appreciate her. Thank you, Dr. Rose. We'd love to have you on. Chesley, we're going to conclude our story with like this. Look the way what Joseph did, how kind and good he was to those that were unkind to him. He didn't return evil. He didn't do that. But like Jesus did for us, Jesus forgave them all. He didn't say, I can forgive all of these people that never have offended me and been mean to me. I can forgive them. But you people, my brothers, and what you did to me, I'll never forgive you. But he wasn't that way. He said he forgave. He said that he forgave. He said you did it for evil, but God turned it for good, that I could preserve all the life so there wouldn't be all this loss of life. God gave me a plan to feed all of the people in Egypt. So what a great blessing, Chesley. Let's be like this man was. Jesus had not been born at this time, but that's what we think of. He was like Jesus. He forgave them all. We call it reconciliation. The fellowship is brought back. Love and care. That's all Joseph had, and that's the way it is with Jesus. Chesley, no grudges, just blessing. So let's remember that when somebody does mean to us and bad to us, let's return kindness and blessing. And Chesley, it's really time for you to go to bed. I was thinking I didn't sing the theme song. You did not sing the theme song. Okay. You can stay up just that long for that. This gospel train is chugging a trick, chugging a trick, it's chugging a trick. This gospel train is chugging a trick, chugging to the glory land. And get on board this gospel train. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All right, Chesley, we can. We're bound for the glory land. And right now, you tell everybody goodbye, and you look forward to seeing them next Sunday afternoon. I love you. And next Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be here. That's me, Chesley. And do you see my medals? Yes, Chesley, they see your medals, and you are stalling. All right, we'll see you next time. Love you and appreciate you.